Minister John, what were some of the things you was doing when you was out in the world before you came to God?
Well, if you really want to know the truth, brother, meaning of surviving is a job within itself. Regardless where you're selling bootleg liquor, mopping the floor, carrying out trash, regardless what your occupation is about. My job, when I was in the wilderness, I was able enough, during New York, which is a large city, I was able enough to learn how to survive in the merchandise world. So by learning how to survive in the merchandise world, when I was a young guy, I used to see the guys coming up on 125th Street selling merchandise. So one day, a brother carried me where that he was getting his merchandise for. And diligently, I listened to everything he had to say, watched every move he made, and he was a minister of the gospel, which I didn't know it at that time, but the way he conducted himself, I felt his spirit, because I came from an uplifting Christian family. Although though I went out in the world, you understand, like the prodigal son, all of us gonna go to straight to a degree. You understand? I think understand in Proverbs 22:6, you understand that all of us, the majority of all of us might go to straight, but the way our mothers and fathers taught us that we will return, a lot of us. But I said that to say this. I was in the merchandise world, you understand, a lot of my companions and a lot of people who was looking at me at that time, they probably understand some, when is he into the drug game? Or when is he doing this? One is this and one is that. I was making enough money in the merchandise world. I just didn't only stay in New York with it. I carried it to Connecticut. I used to rent a truck and go down in Lower Manhattan and get the merchandise and carry it up to Connecticut, Manhattan, and accessories, and made plenty of money legit. And when I come back to the city, the only thing they observe, you understand, when I got back into my banks and my diamond and accessories, understand, I ain't had no pressure on me as I was going to get busted in that because I wasn't doing no wrong. And so I was able enough to get into the merchandise, and that's how I survived it, you understand, a bigger portion of my life in New York.
So when you left New York City and you wound on coming back to North Carolina, what were you doing then?
Okay, well, I didn't want to leave New York. It was a spiritual thing. This what made me come into knowledge of Jonah. When God wanted him to go one place, he went the opposite. And as far as I'm concerned, if it would never have been a spiritual thing, I would never have left the city of New York. But it was a spiritual thing to the point that I had to go. And so when I came back to North Carolina, I opened up me a business, which was a wig shop, a big novelty shop, wigs and merchandise and accessories, downtown Fayetteville. And in the process of that, I got back in church. And when I got back in church, after I stayed out there in the merchandise in North Carolina a while, I was able enough to meet a lot of young people where within though that I changed their life, and I know I changed their life. Some of them understand was doing mischievous things. I hope the whole world listens to this. But one young man, every time I turn around and I seen him, he wanted some money. I said, "Where you been?" "I'm just getting out of jail." I said, "Why you keep running in and out of jail?" He said, "I'm beating my girlfriend." I said, "Why you keep beating her?" "Because, understand, I give my money, she messed up my money." I said, "Well, when you met her, didn't you tell her you had a big car, you had plenty of money, you had the finest of clothes, you had the finest of jewelry? You understand? You didn't get connected with her mind, her spiritual mind. You met her on the materialistic side. So when the material was gone, she was gone. So now when you run into her again, you ready to hurt her. If you're ready to the guy, you're ready to kill him. You understand? Solomon say in Proverbs, over wisdom and knowledge, over all get understanding. the understanding he's supposed to have in hand if he was going to party with the young lady and go out and sport some, you understand, go out and have a good time. If they couldn't come to no kind of agreement, understand, as a lockdown thing, just go out and have your fun. Bye. God bless you and hope to see you again. You understand? So the way I was taught and raised is a different way than I see a lot of people conducting themselves when they meet young ladies today. Even today, I'm a retired man. I don't meet no woman telling her this and that and blah, blah, blah. I say, hey, I'm retired. I'm a senior citizen. You understand? I'm on fixed income. I live decent. All the money I done had in life, suitcases full. I'm living better mentally, spiritually, and physical than I ever lived in my life. You understand? On my Social Security check. Not that I'm relying on just that. It's other things that God want me to do. A person might give me a Rolls Royce. When I'm out here walking in God's line, I might run into a Benz, airplane. You understand? When you walking in God's line, understand? It ain't no limit, you understand, to what God got in store for you. So when I meet a young lady, I lay it on the line that I love the Lord. I'm working for the Lord. If we can get together spiritual, mentally, and physical, you understand, what's mine is yours. What's yours is mine. Other than that, I'm with God, and I can't do it no other way but be straight if I say I love the Lord.
So what can you tell young people now, these times that they are in different gangs, the Crip, the Bloods, and, you know, so forth and so on. You know, because back in the 60s, I was born in the 60s, you know, and none of that, you know, wasn't happening.
Okay, well, as I said, when you first started interviewing, I left North Carolina at a very young age and had plenty of relatives in New York, and they schooled me, you know. And our first game, you understand, you got games, understand, from a peanut, size of a peanut, to a coconut. The real game, the gangster, you understand. But what I said that to say this here. I love togethering. I love togethering. Everything is a game if you really look at it, you understand? When the church members assemble themselves together, they got to get together in a game. But I understand what you're speaking of. You're speaking of the street game. When I went to Los Angeles in 1960, I believe that might have been the strongest game in the United States of America. You understand? The Crips and the Bloods, because I used to go out to watch. I didn't have no trouble with them because I was communicating with different brothers who was aware of that environment. But my communication and my testimony and my insight and my knowledge for the young people today, the strongest game to get in today, that's coming to knowledge of Jesus Christ by repenting and humble yourself and do something constructive before you are destroyed, because everybody is not lucky enough to go to prison. To me, you understand, prison, you understand, was an opportunity for you to get yourself back together. And some of our greatest leaders, you understand, have been incarcerated because they had chance to get themselves together for God to truly use them through their solitude. Sometimes we got to be isolated for God to get our divine attention. When God get our divine attention and he convict your heart that this thing is real, when you come out, you got a different attitude on life. And so a message for the young people today, you understand, to kind of slow the pace. We know this is one of the fastest pace in this technology world. I mean, everything moving by the speed of sound. But haste is waste, you understand? So sometimes we must slow down and get ourselves together where within those that we can enjoy this life and this atmosphere that we participate in.
Okay.